Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is a brand new role-playing experience, brand new campaign, session 0 of Scavenger, Death at Dusk. Namburbi. Did I say that right, Marquis? Namburbi?
You did
Okay.
Namburbi.
Normally we don't broadcast session zeros, but Crimson Catalyst has a very unique character creation ritual that Marquis is going to be taking Lloyd and I through tonight, to really showcase that we also have a really unique um, opportunity here with this game or presentation, in that Marquis is one of the creators and writers and I want to say genius, but I also want to say fractured minds behind behind Shardstone Assembly, Scavenger, and the Crimson Catalyst, and all of the stuff you'll see here. So it's very fitting that Marquis is the one who's going to be running this. And it's been a minute, Marquis. We've been trying to do this for, I want to say, close to 4 years.
I feel like every year I've been like, "Yo, Jake, you want to have a scavenger game on your channel?" And you're like, "Sure, sure." Then we just wait until next year and
and,
resume.
and as we've seen behind the scenes, it takes a little bit to get things off the ground and get things moving. It's what happens when you're all adults living your lives and trying to make these games happen, and you happen to be working uh, across global time zones as well. We're very fortunate that Lloyd lives primarily in the lives in Europe, but lives his life in the U.S. Eastern and Central time zones. So, um, I'm going to just do a couple of quick announcements, and I'm going to turn things over to Marquis, and we're going to experience this all together. Um, First off, I introduced Marquis, but also we've got Lloyd here with us, the Jarl DM, joining. Lloyd has made very sporadic appearances here and there on MTD. Um, can be found lurking in the MTD Discord from time to time, and also graces us as a volunteer moderator and helper during charity events, things like that as well. You may know Lloyd from some incredible games that he's run over on his own channel in the past. I've had the fortune to uh, play in those games and to play alongside Lloyd in various capacities in games. So I've been very excited to run it's basically 3-player game where it's going to be just you and me, Lloyd, at the whims of Marquis. It shows the faith we have in Marquis. So introductions there. This game is intended to be played bi-weekly, so every other Tuesday, opposite our Sky Metal Iron Gods campaign that happens on the other Tuesdays. Like I said, we're adults with busy schedules, so there may be times where we go a couple weeks longer between sessions. We'll try to keep you up to date, and you can stay up to date in the Discord. In fact, you can check us out if you aren't already. You can join the MTD Discord. Put a link in the chat. Uh, by way of announcements, I'm just going to say one, we are adults playing a fantasy role playing game. You may hear mature language, intense role playing sequences, graphic depictions of violence. And quite frankly, we're giving Marquis free reign to peel back the shutters of his brain. Not to mention that Lloyd and I've got some pretty dark corners of our own minds. So be warned. That's going to serve as your content warning. If these are the kind of things that you don't think you're up for, we will not think any less of you if you leave and go find somewhere else. Take care of yourself first and foremost. Know that we do use safety tools in our games. In all of the MTD games, we use a simple traffic light system, red, yellow, green. It's a very simple traffic light system. In fact, let me drop the link real quick for the TTRPG. Whoops, there's more than one. Safety. Normally I have mods that are doing this, but we're kind of soft launching tonight. The TTRPG safety toolkit, there's a link in the chat for that. Explanations of session zeros and safety tools and how to use those. We encourage you to use these tools in your own games, whether you're playing with running a one-shot, you're playing with strangers or people you've played with 30 years. It's important that everybody stays safe at the gaming table. Speaking of staying safe and mental health, as always, before we disconnect from reality and play make-believe for a little while, we want to just remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it's true. There's a number of reasons that you might be struggling, that you might be looking for somebody to talk to, or maybe you know somebody that needs to talk to somebody. We try to make that as simple as possible here at MTD. All you have to do is come into our chat and type !help at any time. Doesn't even matter if we're streaming. A couple of URLs will pop up. Check out findahelpline.com, or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. I know so little about this game. I don't even have a clever segue yet. So with that, I leave you, or rather we leave ourselves in your hands. Marquis, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jake. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're going to be doing tonight. Tonight, we are beginning a campaign in the world of Scavenger. What is Scavenger? It's a little bit hard to describe, but let's try this. The end is nigh. The Bronze Age world of Akara is battered by cataclysms. Earthquakes swallow cities and sandstorms bury empires. Hope lies in the city of Tarnak. There, a mysterious monolith of unknown origin serves as a portal to a mystical world torn apart. For half a century have the Akarans dared Torn's alien insanity in search of miracles. Now, those broken by the Great Dying explore Torn in search of a way to survive. These daredevils risking their lives to save Akara are called scavengers, and that is the role that you guys will be taking in this campaign. Scavenger, to be short with it, is a very narrative campaign. It is based off of 5e, but we'll be doing a lot of mechanics with traveling, exploring, discovering things, and also being torn apart in very unique and novel ways. And tonight, what we're principally doing is character generation, which is done through a ritual called Namburbi, which is both in-world and out-of-world. In our world, Namburbi comes from Sumerian, and it means burning. It is a ritual purification that is undergone by those who want to cleanse themselves and to become more powerful. And in Scavenger, it is just the same, but done with something called shardstones, which we'll discuss more in just a little bit. That being said, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started here with just some early preliminary questions I want to ask you guys before we start making characters. So my first question is this, and these are all going to be like basically safety questions in a way. Is everyone okay with potentially their characters suffering warp scars, which are sudden mutations that their characters might experience?
Yes.
Word.
Yep,
Sounds
I'm
good.
with it, for sure.
So I assume you guys then are also going to be okay with your character suffering affliction, which is a nerve disease, hyperdimensional, that can end with possession and even undeath for your characters.
Yes.
Yes.
Word, cool. And
Enthusiastically.
enthusiastically, I like that, Lloyd. So then, let's see if this is also enthusiastic. If your characters were to get captured, would you guys be okay with them potentially being re-educated or brainwashed for a short time?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm good
Nice. Sounds like we're all good for the fun stuff then. So cool. Now, Jake did say earlier that we will usually have like some pretty dark themes come up in Scavenger. I do want to say that some things that we won't go over in this game at all are just bigotry and racism, as well as any kind of sexual assault. None of those are in Scavenger, and not really the kind of game that I'm looking to play. That being said, I am interested in the game you guys are looking to play. So if you look on page 77, you'll find a list of things there. Underneath, order these ideas from most to least interesting. Here we have combat, exploration, roleplay, investigation, epic moments, challenges, lore, plot, NPCs, and twist. I would like you guys just to very briefly and quickly just organize those for me. And the ones you think are the most interesting and the ones you think are the least interesting. I'm going to use that to basically serve as like a guidepost for what I want to hit you guys with throughout the game. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah.
Lloyd?
Having a look.
All right.
So do you want me to make like a list of numbers? Is that the easiest? Or
Yeah, a
like
list of numbers would be good, but for right now, just for expediency, let me just go ahead and get like what maybe your top 2 things you're interested in and one thing that you're least interested in.
For me, interesting NPCs. It's like my favorite
Okay.
part of the game is chatting with both Jake and with like in-character dialogue is the thing that I find most satisfying when I'm playing a game.
Okay.
And then combat, like tactical.
Oh,
I love it.
always.
And I love
Of course.
making a character that is effective and being able to show that it's effective. You know.
Word. Okay. Yeah. No, I feel that.
Yeah. I like the odd unexpected twist plenty. I enjoy a challenging game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's hard from this list to pick one and say this is my least favorite. It's more
Yeah,
like
that's good.
it's only least favorite because we have to put other things in front of it.
Mhm.
That's what I feel from this list. I got to agree for the most part with Lloyd. Both interesting NPCs and combat will be high on my list. I'm primarily role playing. I actually do choose role play. I kind of put role play and interesting NPCs, kind of group them together, which
Okay.
I kind of felt like you were doing too, Lloyd.
Yeah. For sure.
As like number one, that's one of my favorite things to do as a DM and as a player. And I enjoy combat. I enjoy the tactics of it, just the nitty gritty of combat. I enjoy that as well.
Word.
So I think we're on the same page with top of the list. It's hard to choose something that would be so low on the list. I guess if I had to pick something from this list, for me personally, I would put investigation lower on the list.
Okay.
I do enjoy
Gotcha.
investigative campaigns and figuring things out. But out of this particular list, I would put that one lower.
Word. Sounds good. Are you about the same for that, Lloyd?
Yeah,
That's
I
what
would
I
say
figured.
the other thing that I'm not so keen on is the plot happening to me as opposed to
Okay.
the plot happening because of me, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
point. Good point.
So like I want to be driving my character's decisions like as much as possible to be driving what's happening as opposed
Okay.
to things happening at me, you know?
Yeah.
Or happen with me, I guess.
That's good. So for me, on my end, it'll be a very much like I'm just going to make things and find out what happens every time we meet up, for better or worse, which will be fun. Cool. With that,
if you
go
put
ahead.
things in front of us for us to poke, we're
Yeah.
gonna poke them.
As you should, and you will definitely be warp scarred and torn apart by that, but it'll be a good time, I imagine. Cool. So with that, let's go ahead and begin Namburbi specifically. So we're going to start on page 78. What's going to happen is I'm going to be reading out this text that you guys will see here in the PDF, and then I'll be prompting you to roll a die. You'll be using all different sizes of die for this, and your result, which I'll have you guys announce after you get it, will give you a piece of your character. As you're building the character through this ritual, you'll also find out things such as how did your character become a scavenger, what does that kind of shard science or magic power look like, what's at stake for them, and all that kind of stuff too. Some things will be proper nouns, and you'll be like, wow, I have no idea what that means. But you guys are good to either A, ask a question whenever you want to and I can answer, or B, just find out what that means through the game. Either or, it'll be good for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started then. So begin number B. Ritual purification has been in Akaran tool since the earliest days. Shard stones give this ritual new meaning. Namburbi is what every scavenger must undergo. Their lives lead them to a shard, and with it they attune, and with that first attunement they enter a realm of red light wherein they witness their own death or their transcendence of self. The epic begins on the dusk of a dawning civilization diminished. These scavenging peoples, most cities have fallen. Tribes and mobs have disappeared beneath death tide, heat raid, earthquake, and more. Where once there were many peoples, now but precious few remain, the last sentients willing to fight together. You were born one of them, or born to an alien race unreachable or nascent. I want you guys to roll me 1d10, and your result will tell me what exactly what Akaran peoples or species you are.
I got an 8.
8.
I know what I want to come up on this die, so we'll see if the fates are.
Lloyd got exactly what he wanted.
I know,
Did
I
I?
know.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I have bifocals, so I need to I need to make my PDF bigger.
D&D when you're 50.
I got a 5. I did get what I
5.
wanted.
You did. Good. Let me go ahead and read these for you guys into the audience. So with an 8, Lloyd, you were born a Morg, near giant, 2 heads taller than any Akaran, 4 mighty arms, a misshapen jaw that makes speech hard, slow, and pointless. Morg are loner nomads with eidetic memories and brains geared towards fragmentation overall. You know what a Morg is, Lloyd, already. You've seen TJ play a very good one. It's exactly what you were looking for. Now, for Jake, what you got was you were born a Kith, intersex species of yellow skin, black hair, 2 eyelided hyper impasse. Kith brains will deduce patterns at an impossible speed, which manifests in their communication as a genius for body languages. So neither one of you guys are humans. You are 2 of the fantasy races that we have in Scavenger. How you guys feeling about that?
I'm very hyped that I got Morg.
Word.
I'm very
really
happy.
wanted to play a Morg. I'm sweating it.
I've never played, but I love the idea of Lloyd as this big Morg and me as this smaller, lithe Kith. It was sort of what we envisioned in the beginning, and Namburbi seems to agree with us.
Yeah, it would be a great combo for sure.
Especially I've been happy with anything, especially the aliens. I love those too.
Oh yeah, the Shar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I got Morg. That's exciting.
Word. Yeah, and Morg are very like pragmatic and wise. So I'm like, this is probably perfect for Lloyd. Perfect. So then time and space works against you. Loss is common as thunder in a storm. Your heritage is all that you have left. Bloody Akara may have been, but culture thrived all the same. Remember fondly the yesteryears, those who raised you, or remember the hatred they fostered, the pains you suffered as an outcast. Now both of you will roll 1d8 and then 1d6. The 1d8 determines your heritage, the 1d6 your culture. An Akaran Morg or Kith could be raised in any culture, and so it doesn't really matter what you get for the first one in regards to your race. And I'll have you guys give me the 8 and the 6 together.
I got a 3 on the D8 and a 1 on the D6.
3 and 1.
Okay. We've got a 3 on the D8 and a 2 on the D6.
So when you roll the same results in Namburbi, that means your characters actually knew each other somehow during this junction in their life. So somehow very early on in your career, right before you became scavengers, you guys didn't know each other. So let me read what 3 is. So with 3 here, wow. You guys were Knooman. Once the Knooman Empire ruled Akara, shrunk now to just its capital taken over by a telepathic alien who has manipulated and brainwashed the Kanuani into an army of hyper-educated zealots. Those who break the brainwashing flee, becoming scavengers. Now, you said you had a 1 for your D6, Lloyd? Cool. And you had a 2 or a 3, Jake?
I had a 2 on my 6.
Nice. So then for you, Lloyd, you were a bell. You were a Canoeman bell, a master of many, a wealthy lord, a fate preordained by the brightest stars. In Canoema's twilight has there been a great exodus, spurred on by the ruthlessness of Bel Corax, who you are fleeing. For you, Jake, it is slightly different. You were a saboteur trained by Bel Corax for a single purpose, pinpoint sabotaging that will see Kanuma's enemies fall. Currently, you lurk in Tarnak, either prepping your next act of terrorism or finally finding freedom from Corax's grasp. That'll be for you to decide, Jake, which is pretty spicy if I do say so myself there. Word. Cool. So I had you guys write that into your character sheet, and we'll discuss more of what your results mean when we're done with Namburbi. So to continue on here, let's go on down. We're going to move to page 85. And then you faced Cataclysm. When you think there's nothing left to give, the cruel world still takes. And every scavenger's heart is a small wound gifted by the great dying, the cataclysm of all life. I want you to roll 1d12 to see what you've lost. As reference, the cataclysm is a series of natural disasters pushed to 11 that have seemingly no explanation. We have things like earthquakes swallowing city-states. We have things like heat blobs moving across the savannah and killing everything there and causing wildfires. It's truly hell in the world. What did you get, Lloyd?
I got a 7.
And what'd you get, Jake?
A 3.
Cool. So, Jake, you and a loved one were caught in the Samum,
That's
a
Lloyd.
terrifying sandstorm. You made it out of the storm, and they did not. And what did you get, Jake?
3.
A 3. With that, Jake, the trinket that you had was the most precious thing in all of the world to you, a personal thing from someone you loved. What emotional weight was behind it, and how did it feel to lose the trinket during the Skrin's attack? The Skrin are a eyeless, swarming alien that boils from beneath the crust of Akara. So you had something important, and you lost it during a Skrin attack while you were out in the wilds. I'll let you sit on what that trinket could be as we move on. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to 86, and you fell headlong into desperation. Society crumbles. The apocalypse has yet to finish, may yet still be stopped. If only we could escape the pain that dies these days. This is what kept you alive at rock bottom. Both of you will roll me 1d6. Your choice determines your Akaran background, which will give you proficiencies in equipment. This background captures your life immediately before you becoming a scavenger, and these backgrounds are discussed later on in this section. Start with Lloyd.
I got a 6.
And what did you get, Jake?
Which die are we rolling?
Oh, you're rolling a d6 for this one.
D6.
Yep.
There it is. 6.
Nice, 6. Cool. So, and what'd you get again, Lloyd? Sorry.
Also a 6.
Oh, okay, so you guys, once again, you reunited, but the circumstances in which you guys reunited are pretty horrific. So both of you, after your loss, life no longer had meaning, but you had not the will to end it. And someone mad with shard science asked for your flesh. You obliged with their experiment, and it marked you horribly. Both of your backgrounds are shard tainted, and you will begin this game with 1 warp scar. We'll get the warp scar after number B. Yeah. So you both start with a mutation.
Wow.
Yeah,
Off
right.
to a killer start here.
It was rough for you guys. Cool. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Living in misery means living with hope. Suffering can only be endured by those with something to win. Here's what's at stake, something grand or personal. I want you both to roll any die, and you're going to record if it's either odd or even. If it's odd, you have a grand stake. Even is a personal stake, and these stakes will shape the character arcs for your characters. So I have you tell me what the even odd, Lloyd, and then what your D8 was.
Oh, and a D8. I got
Yep, and a
odd,
D8. Mm.
and my D8 is a 2.
Cool. And what'd you get, Jake?
I also got odd, and my D8 is a 4.
Okay, I was gonna say for the 2 again. This is getting mysterious. We'll start with you, Lloyd. Lloyd, for some reason, what's at stake for your morgue are dying beliefs. That is some cultural belief or mystical belief that has no one else alive in the world but you who hearkens to it. And you want to keep it alive and bring it to people again in some way and prove the power of that belief too.
That is so
Now,
sick.
word. I'm glad you like it. Now, for your character, Jake, it's a little more unique. What's at stake for you, Jake, is another scavenger's secrets. There is a scavenger who discovered something amazing, something that could change the world, Jake, but that scavenger disappeared and the secrets were lost with them and torn. You need to go find what those secrets were to bring whatever it was back. Jake, you're getting a lot of questions you're going to have to answer.
No, I'm digging it. I'm already.
Word.
I'm seeing, especially with Lloyd and I kind of aligning on some of our roles. I like this idea of the being sort of fate
Yeah.
We keep
fate
meeting
tangled.
that. Yeah.
I kept
Yeah.
star-crossed. I kept wanting to say, but this is
Yeah.
not that's not the right
Star-crossed.
word.
Which is very
yeah.
fitting because Kanuma is a city-state that their mysticism worships the stars. It doesn't worship, but studies them and believes you can gain insight from them. So it is very interesting how it's playing out. Regardless, we continue, and things begin to spiral. Look across Akara and find nothing. Be led to Tarnak, Akara's Jade City, and find nothing still. No answers, no way to win, but then an impossible hope. A hope found in a world torn apart. You saw things no mind can imagine in Tarnak's lunatic streets. Before your very eyes, its scavengers fly, hurl thunderbolts from their fingers, lift boulders above their heads. You found the Shardstone cults and their world-warping virtues and witnessed oracles divining blood-muddied futures and saw for yourself the source of it, the Crimson Catalyst, Shardstones. These beautiful red gems that when you look into them, you see everything you could ever want. The rumors are true. Lay eyes on a shard unattuned and images perceived only by you dance winsomely across its facets. Faint they are, half real and half there, but you know what you see. You know hope is there. You will both now roll 1d6. This will give you your first crimson vision. This is a teasing image shown to you by a Starstone when you first see it. Something that will call to you and tell you that, yes, this can get you the power you need. We'll start with Lloyd.
Big 6.
Big 6. And Jake?
5.
5. So with the 6, Lloyd, you saw what you were owed. Everything. And you also saw how you achieved it. That's a question for you to ask what the Shardstone showed you. Jake, for you, you saw an enemy of yours laid low by your hand. What did you do to that enemy? A question for you to answer. When you guys see these visions in the Shardstones, we continue, for shards light the way. You need one. It's the only way. Some say attuning the Shardstones means you're no longer a Karin, that you've become a new thing, doomed to weird destinies concocted and worlds unimaginable. Not much different from now, though, is it? Your world is ending. This is your last chance. You must find a shard. They say your first attunement reveals the potential of your power, and 2 may even foretell death. In Tarnak, you've met more than a few that have suffered such dark visions. They live future-haunted lives, speaking only of demise, and so turn from the scavenger's path. Will you see a way forward? Will you see the end? Who cares, because now you're going to jump into the fire and find your way out afterwards. Both of you roll me 1d12. This is your shard of origin, how you got your first shardstone. Lloyd?
1.
Ooh.
3.
1 and 3. Lloyd, you cross paths with a retired scavenger. They were hard to convince, for their road was blasted, but convince them you did. How? That's for you to decide. You said three, Jake?
Yes.
With three, death would have found this person, but you saved them when no one else would. And thanks, they gave you a shard stone, as if you being a hero to them means you can be a hero to all. Who that person was and what they were suffering is also for you to answer. And when you guys get your shard, it's time for Namburbi to begin in truth in the universe. You burn, spill your blood upon the shard, see your future, your fate, a blood red destiny. This is the real Namburbi. Attunement requires spending an hour studying the images within a shard's facets, or bleeding yourself and touching the shard with your blood. Upon doing so, your mind enters the red shift. Then the visions begin. This feels real. How did you get here? What are you doing? What can you do? Information fills your brain. It burns. It burns. Every emotion, every memory, every thought, all aspects of us melt, spark, and ignite. To be engraved by shardstones is to become the writing of epics, the stuff of songs. To be reborn or die, save of damn, it's there to be used. It's a power to great. It is you, your will. These visions are born from your force of will. I want you all to roll me 1d4. This is how you scavenge. This will be your scavenger's paradigm. You will see a vision of yourself wielding these powers as you attune to the shardstone. We'll start with you, Lloyd.
Here we go. 4.
Jake.
2.
And I will highlight, if you guys want to change these, you can. But to continue on with a 4, Lloyd, I have known virtues as sanctuary in this sinful world. By relying on that virtue and the ceremonies and traditions of we Akarans, you can find salvation for us all. You scavenge through your own definitions of virtue and sin, and thus you are a mystic, Lloyd.
Ooh.
Mhm. It's important too because morgues are the very origin of mysticism in Akara, which is interesting.
I really wanted to be a warlord, but now I think I want to be a mystic.
Okay, that's good. Now, for you, Jake, unironically, you got what Lloyd wanted. And so, Jake, you have fought your entire life. What else is there if not battle, war? You scavenge through violence, thus you are a warlord. Will you accept that?
Like Lloyd, I was thinking like Mystic would be perfect, but I love this. Given that earlier,
Well, I got this thing about keeping a belief alive and
Mhm.
being from the star or star like people,
Kanuma,
the
yeah.
Noorman, and like it all just feels like it's led to being a mystic, you know?
Mhm.
Like
and I have that thing where I'm a saboteur,
Yeah.
and I see that rolling into at some point a different kind of a warlord, but like a
Mhm.
leader of saboteurs, a network of
Ooh.
saboteurs,
That is terrifying.
a network of Kith saboteurs, but not
That's
just Kith.
even more
But
terrifying.
yeah,
Word.
dig
So
it, I
then,
dig it.
word. Going with that, you know what you are. Every scavenger's brain is aligned towards a certain paradigm set by life experiences and the circumstances of your birth. This paradigm represents the kind of information the shardstone will draw upon to make your shard science a reality. How you use your force of will matters. This is your style. You either use your force of will to manifest your imagination or to refine your abilities beyond human capability. Some have brains to apply both, and these scavengers have a fluid will. So, in the unexperienced time between now and then, you hone your force of will and create shard science during number B and these visions. This is what you are always fated to be. You guys will now roll a 1d6, and this will be rolled on a specific table to your paradigm, and it will give you the class you'll be playing for your character.
Interesting.
3.
Mm-hmm. 3.
4.
3 and 4. So we'll start with 3 for Mystic. With a 3, this is interesting. I enter, or rather, you enter, Lloyd, an altered state of consciousness wherein you feel one at one with land and life, allowing you to manifest phenomena entangled with the natural world. In this case, you'd be a druid.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now, you guys said you got a 4, Jake?
I did.
With a 4, you refine your war-making skills and enhance your combat capabilities so that you can wage war unlike anything else, making you into a fighter. Will you accept?
I dig it.
Word. Nice. Now in Scavenger, in this game particularly, we are using the 5R rule set, which is the new 2024 rule set. And on top of that, in Scavenger, you begin at 3rd level. So with that being said, visions will now burn their way into your brain. Battles fought, skills tested, your future self sends knowledge of power flowing backwards in time, backwards into now. Roll 1d4, and this will give you your subclass. And of course, if you have a different subclass in mind, that also works.
3 again.
3?
Yep.
And Jake?
Sorry, that was a D4.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect, Lloyd.
See one I'm kind of hoping pops up. But that's okay.
Changes
I
the
like
dice
this too.
over.
Echo Knight.
Okay.
2.
Word. So we'll start with you, Lloyd. Lloyd, your subclass is of the stars. It's perfect.
Amazing.
That's crazy. It literally is. So the Canoeans long since praised the stars as keepers of knowledge. Shard science brings that knowledge to you. And you said you got a 2, Jake. So
Correct.
you're an Echo Knight. You don't fight alone. You fight alongside hard light images of yourself, the only ally you can truly trust. Also pretty fitting. I like that. And word.
Oh, I
So
dig
we
it.
continue. We'll move to page 97. As the visions end, memories are left behind, fading fast, faster than tears and rain and snow. Every one of you saw each other in your visions. You remember each other's faces, and you remember fighting alongside one another, bleeding, arguing, laughing, scavenging. This is how many scavenger rings form. Those who mentally survive Namburbi remember those in the future, and individually, all of you come together. Though I guess in this case, you also have past history with one another too. What did you guys see? What visions did you discover in the redshift? Roll 1d20, both of you. This will tell you what your very last Crimson Vision will be.
I got a 10.
10?
I got a 13.
I can tell you that the things I'm about to read out to you will without a doubt appear in this game, such as the power of the Namburbi Crimson Visions. With a 10, you see, Lloyd, a rival ring of scavengers surrounding you with dark faces and blood-stained hands. And with you, Jake, you see a conqueror ablaze with death, surrounded by reverberations of the dying. Each reverberation someone you knew now dead. Interesting. We'll talk more about what a conqueror ablaze with death is in the future. That being said, we now move into the last part of Namburbi. Envision bonds stronger than water or blood, for these are bonds of shard light. Each scavenger envisions themselves with a bond to another in a ring. So what's going to happen is you're both going to roll a d12. Lloyd, your d12 is what you saw Jake helping you, and Jake, it'll be the opposite for you with your result.
11.
11?
Four.
I was going to say, if you both got 11, that'd be so cute. With an 11? So, Lloyd, when you were lost, Jake put themselves in danger to show you the way forward. And you said you got a 4, Jake?
Correct.
With a 4, Jake, you and Lloyd argued, but those arguments made you trust one another deeply. Interesting. So that'll be these are things that'll also happen in the future that I'll try and engineer organically, and I'll call out when they do happen. So with that, you also guys you will have a signet ring that will represent the whole. It tells others your destiny. It reveals what's at stake for you. Here we have 6 sample signet rings, but if you guys want to, we can also create a custom signet ring if you want to do that. I'll leave it up to you.
I want a random one.
Okay. So
Sure.
what will happen is you both will roll a d6, and then we'll just combine those into one ring.
I got a 3.
A 3.
I got a 6.
A 3 and a 6. A 3 is a shank of dark serpent wood set with a rainbow-colored shell, surely an old prize for the tribal mobs. And a 6 is a black platinum glimmering with faint specks of shard dust, a signet for scavengers who've delved deep into Torn. So you have some cool-looking ring that you both wear that fuses these concepts, and that shows your allegiance as scavengers to one another. Word. So with that, that's pretty much everything. So Namburbi now concludes. The red shift melts away. You are where you were before the ritual began. Nearly no time has passed. You feel as if you've been changed by a lifetime's worth of experience. It's the fire you feel in you. Something has ignited. Yes, this is it. This is what it means to have unlocked your force of will. And then what we have after this is just the very base materials for building you guys as characters. I just want to quickly go over with you guys before we go ahead and head out, and I'll let you guys make things on your own mechanically. Also, I just want to quickly talk about, actually, before we get to this new material, a little bit about your characters so far and what you guys are thinking about them. We've been leading with you the entire time, Lloyd, so now we're going to switch it up and lead with Jake. Jake, what are you thinking about your warlord Kith from Kanuma, who has been trained specifically to sabotage the last remaining strong city-state?
What what I started to see emerge is in kind of playing off of this idea that throughout our experiences, mine and Lloyd's characters, it sounds like we came up together. We knew each other in the beginning, and there came a point where we realized, or our skill sets or whatever started to pull us in different directions. But no matter what, those stars, the stars of the Canoeman, I see it almost as like being born under the same constellation or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That there's certain periods in time that we keep being brought back together. So it's not a surprise to either of us that in this time, coming out of number B, that we should find ourselves once again allied. I think looking at the saboteur warlord, I see somebody who started off playing with using the natural Kith abilities, the almost genius, what was described as genius level abilities to think through strategies and things like that, to see weaknesses, to become an asset quickly as a saboteur. But I had mentioned before about the idea of leading, being a warlord leader of a bunch of Kith. But now I'm thinking something different. I think being the Kith is what makes my character unique and moves him, elevates him to that warlord status. Is he's the only one that can think these strategies out so quickly and make adjustments almost in real time that they do their best to communicate those and transmute those skills into lesser minds, is how I would think of it. Lesser minds. I can't make anybody else see what I see and think the way I think, but I also realize I can't do it all. So I almost see, in the same way that the morgue is many-limbed, being a warlord leader of saboteurs and spies is my way of being many-limbed.
That's cool. I like that.
I think that's kind of how I see it.
That's cool. Now, there's one thing I do want to tell you, Jake, that I think will be pertinent to your character. The Kith, because they have hyper empathy, they're very able to understand hurt and trauma from others, correct?
Yep.
So for Kith, this is something that is long standing in their culture and that they have to be very careful of. If a Kith reads too much of that, if they begin to understand and feel the pain too much of other creatures, they risk becoming what's called a predator, a kith predator. They fall to a mental illness that's called predation. It has several steps to it, but at the end of it, if it happens, the kith becomes obsessed with killing and hunting things by understanding them deeply and then killing them afterwards so they think they can understand them to the maximum amount, if that makes sense. That's something that probably doesn't have to happen to your character. Like your character can just like, be very resistant to it or have really strategies against it, but it would be like in the back of their head, like, if I kill this person, if I do this thing, will this be the thing that might make me snap? Kind of like a risk you'll be having that you can play up or down as much as you want to yourself.
I'll just hearing that for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is this: in the same way that it's like Bruce Banner says, that's my secret. My secret is that I'm
Yeah.
always angry. I think this character's secret is they never allow themselves to think too much about that.
That's good.
So they don't fall
Yeah.
victim to it. And the reason I want that to be the case is I want to present to you the opportunity to create that as a struggle for my character. I'm open to
That'd be
exploring
fun.
that there becomes an enemy that the killing is so personal that I can no longer look away. And I think it'll be extra interesting to explore having a mystic as a
Yeah,
partner,
right.
as an ally. So yeah, I want to open myself to that. So I kind of want to explore that. So I'd say going into this, he's actively avoided it, or they've actively avoided succumbing to predation.
Cool. So then, Lloyd, your character is a Morg. They were a Bell, which means they had power. They were basically an aristocrat. And then at some point in the last 10 years, the alien Korax appeared and took over everything. And while Korax has saved Kanuma, it has been through a way that you do or do not agree with. It's up to you, but regardless, you have fled. So, what do you think about your character so far?
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe like part of his wealth and power was like, aristocratic and passed down, but it was sort of like a priest type thing, like oracles or whatever, especially because it's so much about stars. And I thought maybe like the druid shapes he can take are based on constellations or something, and that was like a power that like his order, his family, his house or whatever had. And that's how and so there's like sort of literal power to understanding the stars and their and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that I was thinking about. The loss of like what was like this beautiful jeweled empire that I was on top of, sort of, or in the upper echelons, and now how much worse everything is like a nice thread. It sort of feels like when people in the Dark Ages would look at Roman ruins and be like, who could have built this,
yeah, it's very accurate.
Yeah. And so I'm interested in, I've never played a druid before, so I'm very keen to see that. I'm also interested because the animals in Torn are different, or in
they are, in Akara,
very different, so trying to figure that out. And I like the idea that he can only change into the shapes that there are constellations for. Like, I don't know what the stars are
cool.
like, but just that sort of idea. And so I think like I'm going to figure out what the dying belief is that only he has, but it's going to be probably related in some way to like a Kanuman,
Let me give you a little bit of a hand with that. So 10 years ago, Lloyd, something unprecedented happened in the world of Akara, and that was the entirety of the night sky changed and has remained changed. Every constellation is different.
Huge. Okay.
Yeah, there are phenomena that now appear in the sky that Akarans just have never seen before, especially with the potions to see further. And so you have a whole new sky above you. The old night sky and what it represented is just seemingly gone now. So that could also very much
That's
be it.
crazy. That's so huge.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, right.
I imagine his whole life and his whole like ancestry was all about, you know, mastery and knowledge of the
Hmm.
stars and like their, and it would be cool even if he could change into shapes that no longer exist because those stars are
That'd be
gone, you
sick.
know? So he
Yeah.
like turns into a
Extinct
wolf and everyone's
stars.
like, what the hell is that? You know,
Yeah.
like that's a monster.
That'd be
That
dope.
could be pretty cool. Yeah, that's huge. Like the stars being different now and him having such deep, like resounding knowledge of it and like how much
Hmm.
it matters to him. I think that's part of the belief for sure.
Word. That's cool. As for animals and druid shapes, Akara, and this is for the audience as well, there aren't many mammals. There are mammals like, like oxen are a thing, rats are a thing. But most animals tend to be some kind of evolved variant of different types of reptiles and lizards, fish, and then very weird and sometimes very giant insects. So those are the three like main things we have, really just like the insects and the lizards, and then everything else in smaller amounts. So that'd be cool to see you play with there too.
Yeah, for
Word.
Lloyd's
sure.
about to get weird in here.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. What kind of ancient extinct insect are we coming today? Cool. So then let me
Green
just
light
go.
on
Go
all
ahead.
insects, by the way. I'm
That's
good to
good.
go.
That's good. I would hope so. Cool. So then let me just go ahead and read some stuff here I want to highlight for you. I'll start with Kith on page 102. Kith names each have two parts, and they're connected by an apostrophe, like Ana, Ipyo, Mache, Quizjeep. The first part of the name is a natural and concrete aspect. The second part of the name is an emotional word that modifies the former. So it might be something like Sky Tragedy, right? If you're like Mache or something like that. So think about that kind of thing for your name, Lloyd. Not Lloyd, sorry, Jake. And then for your character, um, Lloyd, Morg names are composed of also two distinct parts, but they're a lot different. The first part is a single syllable name in their native language because they have like a misshapen jaw, so they can't really say too much. It might be something like Dur, Wog, Warg, Nan, Guam. But the second part of their name is ever changing and is a title. These titles evolve as the Morg wanders, the natural nomads, and each reflects their own descriptions of the strangest or harshest or most beautiful adventures they've had. So examples might be something like he who traveled the seven lands under the rainbow, that who saw forest red of leaf, who saw the depths 1,000 fathoms deep, or walking where no soil bears life. So you have a two-part name like that for you to kind of play with as well, really to make your story. On page, let me scroll down to it here. On page 106, sorry, I lied to you. Oh, this reminds me, we got to get your warp scars. I'm so glad I
Oh
Yeah.
remembered that.
yes.
So on page 109, you'll have your background. Sorry, 110, 109. You'll have your background of Shard Tainted, which reads Shard science goes not without its tragedies. At some point in your lives, you were both the victim of a shard experiment gone wrong. It could have been the intentional malpractice of an invoker that led to your body being warped, or a simple accident where you are in the wrong place at the wrong time. No matter what, you have both been left with warp scars and disfigured. Now, about warp scars before I give them to you. You can only have 3 warp scars on your character. If you ever get a 4th warp scar, at the end of every long rest, you will need to make a saving throw. If you fail this saving throw 3 times, your character will rapidly mutate into a very aggressive and intelligent alien creature called an Odium that will hunt other scavengers, attempting to become a transcendent godlike life form. So you don't want to get more warp scars, and you guys are starting at a significant disadvantage of you both having one at the beginning.
Nice.
Yeah, right. So with
Wow.
that being said, yeah, wowee. What a fun time this is. So I'm gonna have you both. I was gonna say roll a d50, but I know you guys are using real dice, so I'll have you both roll me a d100 for me. I'm gonna have you both roll it twice. I'm gonna give you both 2 warp scars each for you to pick from. Lloyd, let me get your 2 results first.
Okay, first one is 79.
Okay.
Next one is 65.
Cool. So I'll make that 40 and 32, 33. Say 33. So we'll do 33 first. So your body produces a curious odor that, while distinctive, smells neither good or bad, only different. So you have that one's more comical, or you have this one, which is your average body temperature plummets and your body now functions when colder. As a result, your breath is constantly visible as mist, and others find you freezing to the touch.
Gotta go with the cold.
Yeah, you gotta go with the
It's like
cold. Do
space
not want to smell
star,
weird.
you know? Like it's
Yeah,
like
right.
yeah.
I am the temperature, the outer dark. That's
Yes.
sick. Word. Now, give me your two, Jake.
52 and 33.
26. Okay, so we'll just do 33 and 26 for that one then. Let's do 26 first. So one of your limbs has developed an annoying twitch. When you twitch, the twitch cannot be seen. It's as if that limb like glitched into position, like it just magically moved there. Sorry, you already got 33, so we'll just cut that in half and give you 17. So the other one you can get is a third eye opens on your forehead. It is red on black in color and focuses intently in the direction of whoever or whatever you are thinking about.
Ooh.
Oh, the eye is so good.
The eye is so
Yeah,
good,
right.
and as a spy and a saboteur, trying
You have
not
to,
to
like,
think
cover
too
it.
hard about
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. That could be like a little meditation practice, like, don't look at Lloyd's morgue.
Yeah, it's like the thing you don't want is to know that you're thinking about them, and then all of a sudden you got this third eye going. Just looking at them. So I like the idea of trying. Why do you wear a patch in the middle of your forehead? I think I got to go with the eye thing. I really like that.
Okay, word. So yeah, you have a weird third eye, and then Lloyd, you're the cold of the outer dark, which is just fucking sick. I love that. Somehow Lloyd got every single thing that his character
Honestly,
needs to
yeah.
exist.
So nice.
Word. So there's one last thing I want to show you guys before we move on. If you go to page 114, 113, you're going to find what I mean when I say something is at stake for your character. So what you're going to find here is a series of things. It's kind of outlaid as a plot. These plots are very, very, very loose. These aren't like railroads. These are very liquid story beats that will probably be hit and that I will be basically guiding you towards as you advance. These are things you need to hit in order to win what's at stake for your character. Now, what's at stake for your character might not necessarily be won. If both of you were to fail to win what's at stake, you'd both suffer a personal cataclysm, and the world of Akara and our own campaign world would also suffer significant cataclysms. So if you think about it in a way, the fate of this world, though not directly related to you, is very much related to you guys. There's also a soft time limit for this. So what I want you guys to do is both to roll me a D100 and add 50 to that.
101.
101.
84.
84. Jake, you have 84 days. You don't know this, or maybe you do for some reason. We'll talk this out later. You have 84 days before it will be impossible for you to recover that scavenger secrets. And for you, Lloyd, you have 101 days before something will happen that will make the sharing of your beliefs impossible. So you guys will be fighting for what's at stake in that sense. If you guys look here, you'll see things like your inciting incident. You'll see steps called investigation and then torn apart. All of these stakes end up going to the world torn apart, an alien realm that scavengers have to venture later on in their careers. And sometimes you have to go more than once. And this campaign will be going to torn once. So how the campaign will work is we're going to start with an expedition in Akara, where your scavengers are going to be trying to get reputation in order to earn a patron that will back you into the mystical world torn apart so you can finally achieve what's at stake for you, right? I won't tell you anything about the expedition in Akara until our very first session. I'll keep it under wraps until there, but I do have some fun ideas for it. The inciting incidents, if you guys look at that, those are basically expected to have happened before the game begins. So Lloyd, for your morgue, your incident was carry that weight. You're entrusted with the oral or written traditions of an extinct people, all right? Which in your case, I guess, is the old night sky.
Yeah.
For you, Jake, you have lost scavenger sequence, so the incident for you is where are they? Learn of a scavenger that disappeared. We're going to give that scavenger a grand stake as well. So if you want, Jake, you can roll me a d8, and I'll just do that now.
Yeah, let's do that. 3.
3. Okay. So with that, that scavenger was 3 dying. Oh, let me dig. That might be freedom. That's freedom. So, oh, this is very interesting for where you're from. So, suffer their rule. Experience what it's like to live under a tyrant's thumb. This scavenger was close to finding a secret that would get them free from Bel Korax and free all of Kanuma from Bel Korax. So that's what the other scavenger was looking for. You could be looking for that to destroy it, or maybe over the campaign you'll be like, dang, maybe we should just use this ourselves. So that'll be interesting to see the arc of your character through that.
The first thing that comes to mind, I'm just going to put
Mhm.
that out there. It's not this is what we need to do, but given a lot of what's come up for you, Lloyd, and you're very much head in the stars, and I'm very much hand on the sword, more or less. If this person has found a way to free our peoples, I think what should happen in the game is initially, my thought is maybe very selfish use of that power or that freedom, and having to be convinced by your character of the greater application of it.
Yeah.
I think that could be an interesting source of conflict between us, especially given
Well, I really like
that
the
our
idea that
our
you're-
connection is, one of us had the connection that we always argued, and that drew us closer together.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea that, like, you know, you're very practical and focused, and I'm very philosophical, maybe, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm always considering, like, the greater implications of the things that we're doing, whereas you're like, we just have to do it, you know? Actually, having a philosopher with you is a nightmare in this world, because, like, it's so hard to survive, and I'm like, but should we really, you know? Like, you gotta think about it. That could be fun.
Yeah, I dig it.
That'd be dope. It's going to be interesting watching Jake be like, so listen, here's why we need a tyrant to help us out. Huh? And Lloyd is just like, but really though, do we? Cool. So with that, what we're going to do next is give you guys one last thing here is I'm going to let you guys make your characters mechanically on your own. I know that Jake, you have access to the stuff for 2024, the new edition. When you make your characters again, you're going to be 3rd level. You will have a special array as you guys are scavengers for your stats. I'm just going to go ahead and give you that array now if you guys would like me to. For your stats, I do have ability score increases for a couple of the races, but you guys are free to move up +1 and +2 wherever you want to. So the stats are going to be 17, 16, 14, 12, 12, 10. So you do start pretty significantly strong. HP is max. As long as you guys are attuned to a shardstone, you have access to your force of will. That means you can use your mystical class abilities. You can only use them while attuned to a magical item. And you also have right now 20 temporary hit points that you can spend whenever you want to in different amounts to cast spells when you're out of a spell slot or to reuse abilities on a cooldown. You can also spend your actual hit points to do this as well. So that will encourage you to guys basically push a lot past what are your normal limits of a 5e character. What you will need to do is just 2 scavengers in the very deadly world of Akara and Torn. I know Lloyd has played in one of my campaigns with Scavenger before, so he knows some of the zany bullshit I'll throw out just to fuck your day over for funskies. And Jake, you already know how to do that for my other games that I ran. So
Yeah. Why should Scavenger be any different?
Yeah, right. I will. Yeah, right. I will encourage you guys to read the first tablet of Crimson Catalyst between now and our next game. There are many different rules that we use that aren't necessarily fully different rules to the game, but just new things we'll be exploring. Now, with that being said, I will be introducing both in-world lore concept and mechanical stuff at a drip pace, right? I don't want to overwhelm you with stuff. And I also want to use this for anyone who's watching. This is a good way for how you can introduce Scavenger in the game to your players. I'll show you how to do it step by step with things. But that being said, while system mastery is not required, it does open a lot of doors when you start really figuring out how you can use some of these ideas like hunts and raiding parties and scavenging equipment to use for yourself and all that kind of stuff. So be looking for that kind of thing. It's not like a lot of like keeping track of numbers. Scavenger is more about procedures, creating experiences, and then trying to figure out how you survive and use those experiences going forward. So, with that being said, are there any last comments, questions, concerns, or philosophical quandaries that we have for Namburbi?
Not yet. There will be many philosophical quandaries down the track, I think.
As I'm hoping for.
For now, not yet. I'm really excited. This is not the character I expected to play, but it is a character I'm
Mhm.
excited.
Same. It's
That's good.
it's funny because when we first discussed this concept, Lloyd and I immediately were like Morg, Kith,
Yeah.
and the dice favored that. Even so much so that I took them off of this overlay because we didn't know for sure what we'd end up with.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
have a sort of superimposed the character artwork for a Morg and a Kith
Ah.
in a shardstone that I'll be able to turn on for our next session. That'll appear in the corner of our characters, along with the names we end up choosing. I'm one for anybody watching, because this will be up along with all of our other VODs. This will go up on YouTube. At youtube.com/menu terrain domain. So if you're watching this and you're like, Scavenger sounds dope as hell, how do I get involved in this? I put the link to the quick start rules on Drive Through RPG is in the chat, and I will continue to I'll build out some kind of chat command or something so we have that during our future games. There's a lot of content in Scavenger and in Crimson Catalyst, and I'm glad I waited until after this, the Namburbi. I feel like I just said that wrong. Namburbi. There we go.
Close.
Namburbi.
These damn Sumerian words.
I have a very pointed starting point to look at for my character and Lloyd's character to familiarize with that stuff and start kind of going outward from there. I really liked this way of generating characters. This seems like, even though Lloyd and I rolled identical a couple of times, and at first glance you're like, wow, these are D6, D8 tables, D4 tables, but there's so many combinations when you're looking at your heritage and your background and all this other thing, that the fact that Lloyd and I even got relatively close to what we were hoping to play is some kind of miracle. But also shows, if you go into this with an open mind, neither one of us challenged at any point what was rolled, because we're both like, this is exciting. I love the idea of playing whatever it is that came up. And Lloyd, I'm shocked. I am absolutely shook. You have never played a druid before?
No.
It blows
never.
my mind.
That's crazy. That is pretty crazy.
I guess I shouldn't say that, because I
I'd say out of like the 500 plus games of 5e I play, I was a fighter in about half of them.
Right.
That
That
is
I'm
true.
not shocked by. I think Ranger's the one that I don't think I've ever really played for me.
Interesting.
But yeah, this will be interesting.
Yep, I'm so hyped. This is not at all what I expected to play, but now I've got like a whole philosophical thing about like the stars and eternity and the outer dark and all this stuff that I was like not anticipating, but I'm really into.
Word.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. Go ahead.
I already have, I think I rolled up, I don't remember the number, but for the loss, it's some trinket that means something
Yeah.
got lost. I can't wait until it becomes a reason to share why that happened, because I've been building this story in my head that kind of, in refining it as more stuff was rolled. Even little things like that. I love being able to reveal those in the role play, and knowing the three of us, I am so stoked for some of the scenes
Oh yeah.
that are going to be happening in this campaign. This is going to be, it's a good thing it's only three of us. I don't think we would have
Yeah,
time if we
right.
had more players.
You wouldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, if we had another person, I was like, I think one more might just be too much roleplay here. That'll be
Yeah.
sick, though. It's a good problem to have. And I think it'll be really intriguing seeing how your characters come out during the expeditions, and specifically how you guys react to some of the things I've planned for you. Because some of the things I'd already kind of like pre-thought in my mind, you roll dice and exactly hit on those. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a little fucked up time here on Scavenger. It's gonna get a little crimson as we're going on ahead. It'll be fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you again, Jake, for letting me do this. I am eternally appreciative that I can finally show what Namburbi and what Scavenger is like on 2H Twitch stream. And also for those who are interested, we don't just have the quick start rules on Drive Through RPG. We also have the Scavenger book, Scavenger Nomads of Uncharted Worlds on Drive Through RPG as well, which you can get for a pretty affordable price. You can also get the physical copy through Exalted Funerals website if you would like. It comes in a beautiful slipcover with 2 pieces of art with it and a map. It's a really, really sexy book. I know you probably don't think of books that way, but when I see it, I'm like, damn, that book is hot. No pun intended.
Yep.
It has red gilded pages. It has a bookmark. It's pretty cool. And you get to see Andy's amazing art in it. And Crimson Catalyst will also be for sale soon. That being said, Jake, I'll let you go ahead and take it away from here.
And we will have in future games, I'll set up chat commands that will have links to all of those in future games. This is officially, unofficially a sponsored game, I guess, only in the fact that it's Scavenger and we've got Marquis running it. Like we said, we've seriously talked, Marquis and I have talked for the better part of 4 years about making this happen, and things always got in the way, and I briefly worried that it was going to get in the way again, but we persisted, and here we are. We have a little, now that we know what we're playing and a little bit more about what's going on, we can actually tell a little bit more about what the game's going to be for promotional purposes. But no, thank you, Lloyd, for agreeing to do this.
I'm so
I think
excited.
I'm always excited to get to play with you, but for the two of us to get to play just as the only PCs, this is going to be a lot of fun. And then Marquis, this is not your first time running a game on this channel. It's definitely not your first time appearing on the channel. But I cannot wait for you to showcase, just pull out all the stops on Scavenger and Crimson Catalyst and see what the heck we're in store for. I think this is going to be really exciting.
There's going to be some spice.
And they will live in perpetuity on the YouTube channel as well. With that, just a quick reminder, if you're watching with us live, tune in this Thursday for episode 33, season 2 of our Welcome to Paradise Michigan Kids on Bikes campaign. Season 2 is Welcome to Paradise Academy. And it looks like the iteration is starting to crumble. So there may be a season 3 before too long. But we'll see what these kids get up to. Also this Friday, it was originally supposed to happen last Friday. This Friday, I will be on Nerdarchy along with Ted, as we play in our Old Guards, which is a sort of Da Vinci Punk setting, in which we play old retired adventurers back for one last hurrah. I play a grumpy old Asimir barbarian who doesn't rage. He literally just goes, well, there I go flying off the handle again. And he's like the party dad of a bunch of old guys. So that's a lot of fun. And of course,
most Jake shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, that's so Jake. Here I go flying off the handle again.
there I go flying off the handle again.
God bless America.
That's exactly it. God bless on Corel. It's on Monday nights. This coming Monday, we will be airing our 104th and final episode of Scribes and Scrolls. We pre-recorded the finale yesterday. There will be tears. That's not the title of it. The title is Wishes, Witches, and Whatnot. But it was a tearful finale. We've been playing that game for 3.5 years. We actually, with the interludes, had 113 sessions of that campaign. And the finale will be airing on Monday. And then sometime in the next month, a brand new Pathfinder 2e campaign will be appearing on Monday nights. That will be the
113 sessions.
Yeah,
That's so impressive.
That's crazy.
Our Tomb of Annihilation game that you were there for most of, Marquis, only went to like 79 sessions.
Yeah, so like almost that's a lot of sessions.
Yeah. So yeah, we did 113 sessions of that game. We figured somewhere around 400 hours maybe in that campaign. That's how many hours I have in Baldur's Gate 3 right now.
That's also how many hours I have in Elden.
And then of course, opposite this game, on the weeks that this game doesn't appear, will be our Sky Metal Iron Gods, which is our amazing DM Vi has basically converted a Pathfinder campaign into a D&D 5e campaign. So it's a blast. I think in our 5th session we TPK'd and had to roll up all new characters, and it's amazing. With that said, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Looking forward to presenting this game to you, and hope you'll tell others about it. Thank you to those hanging out in chat. We always love to see people hanging out in chat, having conversations, etc. But the biggest thank you, of course, goes to the other folks here on the screen with me. Thank you, Marquis and Lloyd, without whom this would basically just be Marquis talking to himself for a couple hours. With that,
which I do a lot.
With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
We did it.